function need to access private data in the object form from two different classes. This may be comes in two similar way. A function of global or namespace scope may be declared as a friend of both classes. A member of function of one class may be declared as a member of another function and other one. So, the friend is both classes, the friend of first classes or maybe in the second also. Now, friend classes. A friend classes in C++ can access the private and protective members of classes in which it is declared as a friend. If friend classes in C++ can access the private and protective members of the class in which it is declared as a friend. On declaration of a friend class of all the member of function of the friend classes became friends of classes in which the friend classes was declared. Friend status is not inherited. Every friendship has to be explicitly declared. The friend classes can help in improving encapsulation if used wisely. Sometime the private data members are needed to be accessed used to different classes. In that classes, friend classes or friend function can be used. The friend classes can access all data members, both the classes, even private and protected data. For that purpose, each classes should be declared as a friend in other classes. There should not be member of any other classes. So, this is very important. Sometime private data members are needed to, ਜਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਵੀ we are data should be protective, not to publicly. So, accessed by use two different classes, but only two classes will be used that information. So, in that case friend class or friend function can be used. ਜਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ any program ਅਸੀਂ ਕੋਈ program design ਕੀਤਾ ਉਹ ਦਿਖਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ information ਆ this is used for particular person or particular applicant. So, you must be, so in that case your friend class or friend function will be used. So, it means the private data member are needed to be accessed used by two different classes. So, either friend function or friend classes. The friend classes can access all the data members of both classes. ਜਦੋਂ ਵੀ friend classes ਅਸੀਂ declare ਕਰਤੀ, so that friend class will be access all the data of both members. ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਦੋਨੇ members ਦਾ data ਹੋਏਗਾ that will be accessed, even private or protective data. So, by this is the beauty of that function, you can be see whatever the data private or protective data by the both of the function, both of the classes or friend classes, it will be accessed or see. So, this is the beauty of that friend classes. Friend classes access all data members of both the classes, even private and protective data. For that purpose, each class should be declared as friend in the other classes. For that purpose, each class should be declared as a friend in other class. So, when you such type of thing within the class, you can be declared a friend of other. There should not be a member of any of the class. For the purpose of each class should be declared as a friend in the other class. They should not be member of any one of the class. So, friendship are not correspondent. If class A is a friend of class B, if class, so be careful students, if the class A is a friend of class B, so class B is not automatically friend of class A. So, it does not mean if class A is a friend of class B, does not mean the B is also friend of A. So, B can be in this stage, B can be access whatever information declared by the class A, not whatever information declared by B that is assessed by the class A. So, friendship are not correspondent. It does not mean that it is a member of class also see the protective data of the class B. So, in this case only A can be show, B can be see all the information declared by the A, not B. So, if A is a friend of class B or class B is not automatically a friend of class A. Next one is the friendship are not a transitive. If class A is a friend of class B, if class A is a friend of class B and class B is a friend of class C, if A is a friend of class B and class B is a friend of class C, class A is not a automatically friend of class C. So, in the mathematically you say if A equal to B or B equal to C, but result is, so it means A equal to C, but in this case it is not important. In this case we have using friend is not a transitive property. So, if A is the friend of B or B is the friend of C means class of C, class A not automatically friend of the C. So, this is very much clear. So, in these cases, so all the information are protected by one and other classes. Friendship are not inherited. A friend of class base is not automatically of friend of class derived and vice versa. A friend of class base is not automatically a friend of class derived. Equally, if base is a friend of another class or derived is not automatically friend of vice versa. So, it does not mean one class declared and within that class we have declared another class. This does not mean within the class not is also in vice versa. So, these are very important. Friendship are not correspondent, friendship are not transitive, friendship are not inherited. So, these are the examples we have to given taking the class A, class B, class C. So, this is very important aspect to for the friendship or class of the friendship class. Next is access due to friendship is inherited. A friend of derived can access the restricted members of derived that where is inherited from base class. A friend of derived can access the restricted members of derived that were inherited from base. Note that friend of derived only has access to the members of inherited from base to which derived has access itself. If the derived inherited publicly from the base, the derived only has access to the protected and public. The member of inherited from the base not to private member. So, neither does a friend. So, once again access due to friendship is inherited. A friend of derived can access the restricted members. a friend of derived can access the restricted members of derived that where is inherited of the base. ਸੋ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਮੇਨ ਕਲਾਸ ਹੈ ਮੇਨ ਤੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਮੈਕਰੋ ਲੈਵਲ 'ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਵੀ ਕਲਾਸ ਡਿਕਲੇਅਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ that is a restricted members for to the derived where the base class is defined. So, note that friends of derived only has access to members inherited from the base to which derived has access itself. If the derived inherited public from the base, derived only has access to the protected and public members inherited from the base, not to the private members. So, neither does a friend. So, next one is a static function. We can define a class member a static using the static keyword. When I declare a member of a class as a static, it means no matter how many objects of class are created, there is only one copy of the static member. A static member is shared by all the object of classes. All static data is initiated to 0 when the first object is created. If no other initialization is present, we can define class member static using the static keyword. When we declare the member of a class as a static, it means no matter how many objects of the class are created, there is only one copy of the static member. A static member is shared by all the objects the class. All static data is initialized to 0 when the first object is created. If no other initialization is present, we cannot put it in the class definition, but it can be initialized outside the class is done in the following example by declaring a static variable using the scope of resolution operator. To identify when the class it is belongs to, let us try following example to understand the concept of static data members. By declaring functions member as a static, you make it independent of any particular object of class. A static member function can be called even if no object of the class exists and the static function are accessed using only the class name and scope of resolution operator. A static member function can only access the static data members other static member function that any other function from the outside the class. The static member function have to have a class scope and they do not have a access to this pointer to the class. Should use static member of function to determine whether some object of class have been created or not. Let us try to following example understand concept of the function. So, this one example can be also defined here. So, you should be write so many type of function examples of the program like a factorial or quadratic equation. So, different type of examples you can be generated. Thanks students.